Hello, everybody. This is Sam Bell, and I am here again this month to have an interview with one of our featured practitioners. So this month we are welcoming a beautiful lady who has always been passionate about helping people. Her career started as a pediatric oncology nurse, and she was often disheartened that there was little time to nurture a patient's mind and their spirit. And after the death of her own daughter, Nola was drawn to energy work and working with the angels. She became a Reiki master and she loved being able to assist her clients physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And then after hearing Cindy Smith and Dr. Carla Rue talk about hands-on healing, she knew that this was something she needed to add to her toolbox. The idea that energy work could be combined with Western medicine was something Nola knew in her heart would be really, really powerful. During her training, she experienced her own healing. Since the age of 3, Nola has had asthma and always struggled with exhaling. But over the years, Nola had tried many different treatments, yet in one hands-on healing session, just one, guys, her lungs were healed. Nola is now able to exhale fully, slowly, without gasping afterwards. And if there was even a hint of doubt about the power of hands-on healing, Nola's healing completely erased it. She's absolutely thrilled to be able to bring hands-on healing to her clients, and I'm absolutely thrilled to bring her to you today. Nola Peacock, welcome.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much.
One of the things that Nola and I have in common is that we're both actually hands-on healers, and both of us come from a nursing background, right? And
Yes.
I actually started my career out in pediatric nursing, but then I branched into midwifery, and of course you stayed with pediatrics, which is the nursing of children, specialist nursing of children, with oncology, which is, for those that may not know, is cancer care, basically. And your career has flourished since you left your nursing days behind you, because you're now known as an expert in for children and their parenting, right?
I love it. I love it.
So I know we know that you were drawn to the hands-on healing, but just give us a little bit of an insight into your passion for hands-on healing.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, I mean, as a nurse, I felt like I could only do so much, right? And then leaving that and, after losing my daughter and, divorce and whatever, I, started to realize that there was more than just the physical, right? With nursing, I mean, it's, drilled into us, right? The looking at the physical, but starting to open up and realizing that there was, that there's more to us than just the physical. And, being able to connect with my daughter's spirit was probably one of the, the biggest things to kind of, catapult me in the direction that I've been headed. And then, I came across, Reiki. And I mean, at first I'm like, rolling my eyes going, oh, how would that ever work? And yet having an experience and going, oh, there's something here. And, having some physical healing, it was just, mind blowing to me. And so then when I heard Cindy, talk about, this energy work and also, with the medical doctors, the language, I was just like, oh my goodness, like, I just knew that I had to do it and how powerful it would be. And then, as you said, with my, with the one session, it was so interesting having it. And we had done the lungs and the language around my lungs. And for some reason, we had some extra time. And so my practitioner had said, is there something else that you want to do? And there was just something in me that said, I want to do my lungs again. And we did. And we were, I was repeating the language and saying about, the ease and gentleness. And I just, burst into tears. And I'm like, what's going on? What's wrong with me? but realizing, that obviously something was triggered and coming up. And so, Cindy came to help, and, she said, well, do you have a belief that this, healing takes longer or whatever? And I'm kind of like, no. And then she said something about ease and gentleness. And I knew that was it, that I thought that we had to struggle, or that if I struggled, that then good things could come out of that. And so, she helped release that. And, I used to be, like my asthma hadn't been too bad for years, but I still could not exhale very well, right? I still would and hold on. And so to release was tricky. And it was so interesting because just probably a couple months before I did the hands-on healing, I had been practicing, right? I had been, very consciously taking a breath in, and then I would count, and I would, but I would gasp. I could not just, let it go. And so, doing the work with Cindy and the other practitioner, and, releasing, whatever beliefs I had around this, having to struggle. And then I kind of went,
yay, and you're doing it.
And I'm like, where's the gasp? I'm like, oh my God, right? And so it was like, okay, like, I'm totally, so I miracles, right? Just a miracle. And then can I share another miracle through this?
Absolutely.
So, through my cancer journey, so not only, was I an oncology nurse, but in October of 2018, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I have had Deb Weinberger doing hands-on healing for me on a weekly basis. Through radiation, it was more often than that. But we were doing the language, and I was receiving chemo. And for me, losing my hair was a big deal, because it was the one part of my body that I loved. And so, we're doing the language, and it talks about, receiving chemo and it destroying the cancer, but leaving the healthy cells alone, including hair follicles, right? So of course I'm saying this, and there's part of me like, okay, but we're missing something's wrong, because my hair is coming out. And I knew, intuitively I knew, right? But I asked Deb, and I'm like, are we missing something? Like, do we need to be doing something else here? Some, process, and bless her heart, she says, well, what I'm getting is that it's more about, loving yourself. And I was like, darn it. And I knew, but it was right. Again, it's that healing, right? That emotional, spiritual level. It's not just about the physical. And so I really, spent time every day just focusing on loving myself, and really being okay with, however my body was looking, including, this baldish head, right? And I will never forget the morning that I stood and I looked in the mirror, and I looked deep into my eyes, and I said, you are beautiful just the way you are. And I felt it, deep within my heart. Mm-hmm. And, the very cool thing was that my hair started to grow back, even though I was in the middle of chemotherapy. So, the power of doing this work and being open to, not just the physical, it's about our emotional and, spiritual healing. And, when you're open to doing that and having this, working with the hands-on healing, anything is possible, right? So,
and you're absolutely right. Nursing, when I graduated in 1980 something, anyway, then
I know.
Yes. So I've been at this for 30 odd years, but it was very much on the scientific and the physical. And spiritual just meant church, right? That they'd have a pastor that would come round to see patients, and that's how we provided the spiritual care. But nowadays, nursing is very much more holistic. And I, as a midwife, you know, it's very, very much you're working on emotional, the spiritual, you're working on the physical, obviously, but also the social, the importance of the family and friends and, you know, communication, relationships. It's so important. And like you, hearing you talking, Nola, I'm going, yes, that was exactly what I mean, I stumbled into spiritual work and along to the angels. There's a big story about that, which Cindy loves. But I was the biggest skeptic you can imagine. And but for when I heard about hands-on healing, and like you said, a medical doctor, and the language, it really was just truly holistic. And I think of all the modalities, I'm also a Reiki master, but of all of the modalities, I feel that hands-on healing is truly, truly, truly holistic, you know, because of the spiritual with Archangel Raphael and the energy, but then also the whole science behind it, the quantum physics, which is my bit that I teach, and the language. It's so, so powerful. So
It
yeah.
is so powerful. And I love the affirmations, right? Like I've put them in my phone. I have reminders. My kids tease me because my phone's always going off. It's like, oh, time for another affirmation, right? So yeah, through this whole thing, yeah, there's been, you know, but it's such a comfort. And then when there were nights when I couldn't sleep, it was like this tape recorder, right? I had, and then it would, you know, I could go back to sleep again rather than, you know, going down the rabbit hole, right, with negative things. It's just like, here we go. I'll just start my tape playing and, you know, and focus on what can go right. And yeah, and just, yeah, so many things during my cancer journey, right, that
Yeah, and
was so much easier.
one of the things I love about the language that we have is, you know, very often for cancer patients, the actual cancer itself, the symptoms are not as aggressive as the actual treatment, right? And
Absolutely.
the very fact that the language that Dr. Carl created for us was for patients going through radiotherapy, going through chemotherapy. You went through both. What effect did that have for you? You know, can you kind of describe how that affected you in amidst all of your cancer treatment?
Okay. Well, I was terrified because as a nurse, as you said, I knew about the side effects and complications of treatment, and I was terrified to have to go through it. And in fact, very reluctant. And so, you know, having the hands-on healing made such a difference. And just even I knew, like, I couldn't stay in fear because I knew what that does to our immune system, right? So I chose to go through the journey using love, right, instead of fear. And so, you know, using like visualization too, along with the, you know, the languaging from the hands-on healing. But I visualized like the chemotherapy was my liquid love, right? And you know, so visualizing the chemo as it was, you know, dripping into my arm, and just seeing it as, you know, as healing light and surrounding the cancer cells, and then be able to eliminate them. And, you know, and for me, and I mean, another miracle was that I had no vomiting through all of it.
Wow.
None. A little bit of nausea, but no, right? And I'm like, I mean, I watched kids, right? I was there with the bucket. Like, I know what it can be like. And I had, you know, I had none. And going through radiation, you know, even the radiation oncologist was quite impressed with how well my skin did. And I think what was really cool was when I started to get some redness and, you know, little bit irritated, the little red area looked like angel wings on my chest. And then, you know, and again, I think this is an important thing to note, because, you know, with my hair and, you know, using the language, as I'd mentioned before, there was part of me going, this isn't working, there's something wrong. And so I think it's important though to remember that, and to to pay attention to things that are coming up. And it's like, what is going on at a deeper level? So again, for the radiation, and I was really nervous about that because of course it's on the left side, and there's a lung back there and there's my heart, right? And I know what radiation can do to those. So I was, again, really nervous about that. So thank goodness for, the hands-on healing and helping to, change my thoughts around, right, by using the language and the affirmations. But also through part of it, like I had gone through all of the radiation and finished, and the radiation continues to work for a couple weeks after, and they said, watch your skin. But there's part of me like, hey, I'm doing pretty well. And even, as I said, my oncologist was impressed. And then I had friends that were also going through it, and they had a terrible time with their skin and burning. And so there was, a part of me, and I didn't realize this till a little bit later, thanks to, Deb and the hands-on healing. But I started to think, well, who am I to go through this so easily, right? Like what if, and so sure enough, guess what happened with, like, I had horrible burns, and I had to use lots of cream, and I used essential oils, and I would like wrap myself up and with like a thick layer of cream on my chest to get it healed. But again, I'm amazed at how quickly it did heal. But again, it was another thing that I needed to release, right? Was that belief that that just because other people struggled, that I needed to too, right? It went back another deeper layer of that struggling thing that, that I've had. So, again, beautiful, and how quickly that once I kind of let go of that belief, how quickly, the burn healed and things were good again. So, and even through, I wound up having 2 surgeries. And again, like, really, and I have a friend right now who just had surgery, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel for her. She's had a rough go. And I think, wow, like I am so grateful for the hands-on healing, because really I kind of breeze through things, compared to what it could be. So, mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I think it's just that holistic approach,
Yes. Yeah.
Not only about the spiritual healing, but the belief systems, the emotional, letting go of that struggle. I mean, we are conditioned by patriarchal society that nothing should come to us unless we have to really work hard for it.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
struggle, right? Ease and gentleness is
no. What?
So you have to work hard, you have to suffer to be able to succeed. And that's not the way, and I think that's such a valuable lesson that you're sharing with us there, Nola. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, one of the things I heard you mention there, and was the theme for this month is protection. And one of the things you mentioned there was immune system. And of course, for anybody who isn't familiar with hands-on healing, every single session that we do for our clients, we include that immune system. And, do you want to talk just a little bit about that immune system and protection, and how hands-on healing is continuing to help you in that way?
Yes. Well, and so as you said, every single session we, work through the immune system. And so here's another miracle through this. Through the chemotherapy, and of course, as when you're going through chemotherapy, it's dropping your white cells, right? The main fighter in your immune system. And during that time, my daughter, who lives with me, was sick 3 times with sore throat or cough or, runny nose, something, 3 times. Guess how many times I got sick? Yeah, right? Nothing.
Wow.
That's, as a nurse, that shouldn't have, right? It's like, but it's like, right, hands-on healing, it's like, look at what's possible. So, and I mean, and I continue, right, to focus on my immune system, and, with the languaging and my affirmations. And it's like, right. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've I've been healthy through this entire, treatment with radiation and chemo and surgeries. And it's like, right, that's when your immune system takes a beating, right? Um, and the other thing is to just knowing, because a couple months ago, I actually found a lump on the other side. And I was like, I can't go through this again. But, again, using the languaging and we were doing immune system, and all of a sudden, this was just a couple weeks ago, I started to cry, and I just had this overwhelming knowing that my immune system is working and doing what it needs to do, and it will take care of any cancer cells or anything that may be there. And, for me, like, mentally, emotionally, to just be able to let go of that fear of, it could come back. It's just, and I have none of that anymore. None. It's just like, no, I'm good. I know in my heart that I'm good because my immune system is doing what it needs to do. So, that's got to be the best protection we can have, right? So,
and the thing is, we're in a world at the moment with COVID, and I think everybody is aware of how easy it is to transmit, through, poor hand hygiene or, droplet infection. So having your daughter living in the same house as you, I think it's not just us as nurses. I think it's the whole of the public now are aware what a miracle that is when you're so immune compromised going through cancer treatment. So, yeah. Kudos to Raphael.
Right? Well, and of course, all of that was, before this COVID and all the extra hand sanitizing, and right? So it's like, I easily could have gotten something and didn't. So,
so refreshing. And you're in remission, right?
Absolutely. That's the language I'm using. I'm sticking to it.
I know. I was teaching yesterday with Cindy, and I went through the remission language, and I was thinking, every single person should use that language, right? It's so beautiful and so positive.
It is
speaking to the body, and of course, it's for anybody who has a history of any cancer in the families as well. So it is for everybody, because I don't think there's many people now that don't have somebody in their family or close to them that's been touched by cancer.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's so true. And just, the, again, this calmness that I have, right? Like, I don't have the worry that it's going to come back or that, right, I'm going to have issues. So, that is, I can't tell you what that's worth.
Oh,
it's just,
I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine.
Right? It's just this knowing.
I love your whole, your whole philosophy, and you are now looking for case studies for your hands-on healing. So.
I am, especially now that I'm feeling better and we can do it distance, right? It makes it really easy to do, and and just and how powerful it's been for me, right? Receiving it that way, it's just so. I know it absolutely works. So I want to get out there and help other people because it's so powerful. I'm so grateful.
You can receive, hey? So if you're watching this and you would like to meet with Nola, all of her details are on the AEP Healing website, and they can also get you through your own website, can't they? Which is Confident Happy Kids. Is that .com or
.com? Yes, confidenthappykids.com.
And of course, you're an author.
I am. Here's my.
I actually have my copy, but I think it's still in my husband's bedside table because we have his son is coming up to 10, and a very, very sensitive little chap, and the book has been amazing for all of us. And you've got some courses coming up as well, haven't you? You're busy.
I am busy now, yes. So actually on Thursday this week, June 18th, at 12:30, I'm doing an online parenting tip class, so people can, jump on the Zoom call and bring questions, and, if they need, especially right now with, things being our world being upside down, right? And having to try and juggle work and schoolwork and everything. So I'm here to help with that on July 2nd and on the 14th at 7 p.m. And this is all Mountain Standard Time. I'm doing a guided relaxing meditation because, who could use a little bit of that, right? Mm-hmm. And then on the 14th from 3 to 4 p.m., I'm offering a mindfulness class for kids that are 10 to 14. And all of these things are complimentary. Just, jump on and, let's connect, create some community and support each other.
So I would love to join you on some of those. So where would we get the details? How would we be able to?
You can find them on there. I've got them events on Facebook and also Eventbrite if you want to register there.
Mm-hmm. And if they want to find you on Facebook, Nola, is it just Nola Peacock or is it?
Yeah. Or also Confident Happy Kids is the business page, but they can,
Okay. Amazing. I'm so excited for you, and thank you so much for sharing so candidly and gracing us with your presence. It's always so wonderful to talk to you, Nola. You're a wise person, and all the wiser now for this experience.
Yes, I learned.
And and I'm excited for the work that you're going to be doing, to help others through this journey as well. So, yay, thank you. Bye, Nola, on aephealing.com. All right. Thanks, Nola.
Thank you so much.
Parting words, any parting wise tips?
Well, just to any of the hands-on healers, if you've got, a cancer patient and you want to, need some extra support or ideas just to support, your clients, please reach out. I'm happy to help.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.